Welcome to the Bear Show here on the Barroom Network. John Buffon alongside Aldo Gandia, Tyler Ellis, and Bobby Van, who's joining us to make a full block of opinions going on after this. Gentlemen, the Bears, after 6 weeks in the NFL, are 5-1. They defeat. I guess it was all around. It was an all-around win today, 26-13 over the Carolina Panthers. Gentlemen, I wasn't here at halftime. I was watching the game on my phone driving. I know that's not the safest practice in the world. However, watching this game, there was a lot of positives to take out of it, and this team is showing that it is legit moving forward, and every win is another percentage point that goes up towards the probability of this team making the playoffs. I know that's a very foreign word to a lot of people, but every win, especially at 5-1, it keeps pushing that probability up. Let's go around the horn with initial reactions after the game. Aldo, I'll start with you.
I'm super psyched that they won this game. When you win a game on the road against a quality opponent, it's always a huge accomplishment. And so I hope those guys are all enjoying their moment in Club Dub. But at the same time, I demand excellence out of my team. And my team right now on offense is not pulling its weight. They're putting too much pressure on the defense to win games. They've got to hold up their end of the bargain, and they're not doing it. We'll get into the details of how they failed me, how they failed you, how they failed the city of Chicago. But nonetheless, kudos to the defense. Kudos to the will to win for everybody, and a big black eye to Matt Nagy. I hope the media really lets him have it with some tough questioning, because he really tried to hand the game back to the Panthers here. It was reprehensible what he did. But nonetheless, I have a bittersweet feeling about this, but definitely much more sweet than bitter.
After that ray of sunshine, let's go down to Bobby. Bobby, how you feeling?
Man, what is your philosophy? What do you do? You're going against the worst rush defense in the league, and yet we still try to. I don't know, man. I mean, we pull it out again, right? And I know we've said it. We've said it 100 times. You find a way to win games. This wasn't a game where we had to battle back or do anything, along those lines. No big showing or nothing like that. But I think it's still a game. It's a team win. It's a good game. But our weaknesses are right there on the table for everybody to see, man. It's not like this is a big surprise as to why we're not moving the ball.
Tyler, I saved you for last because the Bears won the game. We need some positivity. What do you got?
Yo. First of all, this is what I'm going to say. This is how I start the dang show.
Positivity after a win. That's good. A novel idea.
Nothing but fails. Let's go. We got the freaking W. The whole freaking world just saw that we're not a freaking joke. With Nick Foles as our quarterback, we are an instant contender. These are the simple facts. With the defense playing this type of – the defense actually showed up. The number one question that we talked about last week, John and Otto, we talked about was, what was the inside linebackers going to do during this game? And when with Teddy Bridgewater running the football, and when they were able to sting these backs outside the backfield, this was going to be critical on Danny Trevathan and Roquan Smith being caught out of position. I saw Danny maybe caught out one time, not really one time, because that was a long drag. But besides that, I saw Roquan Smith and Danny Trevathan really they took it to Mike Davis. Mike Davis is feeling the Chicago Bears right now. He's limping out of this game. And so, but we saw the Chicago. I almost say a complete game. That'd be dope. We wanted Nick Foles. I don't care. We get the freaking W. At the end of the day, our Chicago Bears, they could have easily went up by 3 possessions. We had the opportunities. But who would have thought that we played so good enough in the first quarter that it could make dividends in the second half? And so, definitely with the freaking positives, because they picked us to lose badly against Tampa Bay, and now we just working our way through this NFC South right now. That's what's up.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, they put together a performance that was good enough to win. The defense, everyone was giving them some guff a couple weeks ago about how they're not as good as 2018 and they're not even as good as last year. Well, they're making plays now to keep the team in games. And they're still, once again, held a team to under 20 points. They were averaging only giving up 20 points per game. That average is going to go down again after holding the Panthers to only 16 points. They're going to keep climbing up the ladder. They were 4th in the league in as far as points allowed. They're going to keep rising up in that list because they do not break. They do not give up touchdowns. And we saw that again today where they're number 1 in red zone defense when it comes to allowing touchdowns. They just don't do it. But so as much as there is to celebrate about the defense really coming into its own and really showing that they do not warrant any kind of criticism as far as the Achilles heel on this team, I do want to talk to Aldo about what he brought up. And I think one of the weaknesses we may have seen on this team was on the sidelines. I think one of the weaknesses we may have seen could have been wearing a headset today. So when you talk about these instances, just for someone that may not have seen the game or doesn't exactly know what you're talking about when it comes to Matt Nagy, clearly the throwing the ball on third down late in the game had to be up there. But also you have other mental errors like getting a delay of game after a timeout on the first drive whenever the defense gives you like a 15-yard field to play on. Now they did score a touchdown, but those are the kind of mental errors that just shouldn't happen in a high school game, let alone at the highest level of the sport. So whenever you talk about Matt Nagy and you hope that the media holds the flame to his feet at the end of this game, are those some of the things that you're talking about?
Absolutely. I mean, the situational play calling is awful. All 4 quarters, it's just bad. Let's take, for example, what happened in the very first series when the Chicago Bears had the ball in the red zone. A gift from the Chicago Bears defense. They get an interception on Teddy Bridgewater, and then on third down, they have to call timeout because the play came in late. Out of the timeout, they get a delay of game. And Jimmy Graham is not on the field. Your best red zone target. What are you doing? You're looking at that gigantic play sheet and you're trying to come up with some razzle dazzle stripes kind of stuff. Bullshit. You can't do that. You got to play bare football. You got to ram it down their throat. You got to throw to the tight end. He's your best red zone target. You got to play good fundamental football. And to Tyler's point, listen, the reason I'm upset is because we're not going to get away with this much longer. You just can't. You can't. It happened to us in 2018. We thought we were, things were great. We got to the playoffs, we beat the Packers in our last regular season. But we were exposed. The offense is not playing as well as it should be. And it all goes down to the head coach of this team, Matt Nagy. And one other point regarding the offensive line. Yes, they did not have a great game. That's true. They weren't getting the push consistently off the line, but a lot of that has to do with play calling. If you don't show the confidence in your offensive lineman, if you don't bring them over to the sideline and then grab them by the face mask and say, "We're depending on you. You have got to run block here and give David Montgomery some holes to run through." If you don't do that, and instead you're playing this West Coast tea sipping finesse offense, that's not bare football. That's not how we win. And so that's why I'm upset, because we're not going to get away with this much longer. It's just not going to happen.
But is it possible? But it's possible. I mean, because at the end of the day, not too many teams can handle how physical the Bears play. And when you have a defense like this, it allows you to make certain type of risk situations on offense, if you will, because for that, I mean, come on, I didn't like that play either with the third downs and calls. What are you doing? Run the freaking ball. But at the end of the day, we got to remember, offensive line coach on quarantine, not being there this weekend. We gotta. They're stepping up on the sideline as well, so they did a lot of coaching from online. But at the end of the day, guess what? We got the touchdown. The Bears outscored them every single quarter this game, besides that 150-yard penalty gift. Without that gift, ladies and gentlemen, the Panthers don't score a touchdown in this game. Just I get it. We want greatness. We want no excuses. We want everything to be perfect, and I get it. But we just got to remember that our team is playing well enough. I know we don't want to hear that. We never want to feel like we arrived, but we just took it to Brady. I don't say start feeling yourself, but sometimes we might have to understand that, we're packing a punch too. We're packing a punch too, and Teddy Bridgewater couldn't scramble his way out of this.
Yeah, and Bobby, I wanted to come back to you because something that Aldo said was something that you touched on off the top of the show was what was the game planning? This is one of the worst run defenses in the league, and there still weren't play calling for it. I said earlier in the week this was going to be a big measuring stick for how the rest of the season was going to go as far as the run game, because if they couldn't run against this team, it's going to be uphill sledding against a lot of these other teams. Do you see it that way, as if, oh man, if they can't get something in any kind of consistency in the run game against the Panthers, are they in trouble? Is it going to have to be a Nick Foles throws the ball 40 sometimes a game kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, looking at it honestly, you could at least start to bruise it up a little bit in the trenches, right? But we're talking about the next 5 games are our schedule are the Rams, the Saints, the Titans, the Vikings, and the Packers. Like, we're talking about a 5-1 team here that could literally be 5-6 and like not far down the road. These are some big teams we're about to face. And these are some teams that don't have like those. I think the Titans are still undefeated, right? Did they lose, or they maybe have the late game? But either way, you're looking at some teams that are deadly. I know Tom Brady, I know Tampa was deadly also, so I get it, but we don't get this worst rush defense again. We don't get a time to. The only way that we're going to build confidence in our offensive line now is to go up against a formidable opponent. And now you're going to have to go out there and play against some of these big defenses. And I honestly, we talked about it earlier. I thought that we would use a lot of the backfield, obviously handoffs and that, but I thought we'd use the backs in the short passing game, on this side of the line of scrimmage, screens, stuff like that to kind of get it up and moving. And we didn't really get after that too much. I think that there's a lot of questions. I think Rashad Coward got work today. Leno kind of got beat around, but it's not really like Nagy's doing anybody any favors. And then even when I say Nagy's not doing anybody any favors, you look at Harris. Harris had 2 drops, on plays that were moving him down the field. And then he turned around and had 2 drops. And then Foles is making bad decisions. Foles threw that one to Graham, which was just Jeremy Chin was sitting right there. And then he threw the other one to Graham where Chin is like in his hip pocket, just waiting, and bats it down. So, and then you seen the interception, you know what I mean? So it's not that he was really doing anybody any favors on it. But I just think that the chemistry of the play calls, this like the third down Tyler was just talking about, when like we can get a little bruisey, we can do stuff and get after it, we should be. But yet we got Allen Robinson lined up in the backfield on one play, and I'm going to mention that to him tomorrow. Like, what the hell are you doing in the backfield? Like, what's going on right now? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, what play call puts you in the backfield when you're, what did we say earlier? 35.2% of the passing game, the highest wide receiver in the National Football League since 2018. And now we're putting you in the backfield. Don't tell me you want to get your players involved. How about you know your players and know where they should go?
Yeah. And I was going to say real quick, just to his point about, it looks like they and I'm sure this isn't what the playbook is, but let's try 3 run plays. If they don't work, we're going off script and we're going off the rails, and we're going to start motioning Anthony Miller around, and our run game is going to be the swing passes to Anthony Miller on the right, and then the next one is going to be him going to the left, and then we're going to have guys flare out, and so it's and listen. As much as, I mean, if you want to break down the numbers, what they had like 63 yards on the ground today. So Montgomery had 58 yards, which if you want to say that's an improvement, fine, because that's double or almost triple what they've been averaging the last 2 weeks. But at the same time, no one's afraid of this running game, and Nick Foles had to throw the ball again 39 times. So in 3 games, he's averaging over 40 throws per game. I don't know how many times you can dance with the devil as many times as you want, but it's only gonna get you there a few times. I don't know how many times you're gonna win the game if Nick Foles has to throw it 40, 45, 50 times.
In the first 2 minutes.
To preserve,
but so what? Yo, do you not remember when they teams dared us to do this? Come on. What are we talking about? Do you not remember when a quarterback could not complete 6 passes in a row? Come on.
Well, that's fine, but you have to make conversions. They could have iced the game away a long time ago.
We were also up by 14 points. It's okay.
They still need the defense to bail them out. They still need the defense to bail them out.
Okay, but either way, we still had over seven receivers getting catches. We still had our average yak was over 5 yards on a catch, a reception. Montgomery still got like 40 yards through the air. And so at the end of the day,
and Nick Foles had more rushing attempts than Cordero Patterson, the guy that you claim is your number 2 running back.
Okay, so what?
He had one carry.
Hey, guys, guess what? But the Bears lost. That's the other show. That's the wrong damn show. The Bears won on this show. This is instant reaction. The freaking Bears are 5-1. Bears are 5-1.
I swore. Oh my God.
We must have really pissed him off.
Our team came together. They came together, and Nick Foles kept everybody calm. Every single freaking question that the silly reporters had, all the doubters had throughout the course of this thing, that Nagy, that we didn't do enough with tight end, that we didn't do enough with quarterback. And once again, those 2 positions delivered. Yo, stop. We got to stop. Why are we looking for the bad? The coaches know. The coaches know. So
the coaches better know.
Yeah, I'm not. And it's not that we're looking for the bad, but you got to call it as you see it, man. If Cordero Patterson, you say at the beginning of the year that he's your number 2 running back, he should be splitting time with Montgomery now because Tariq Cohen's out. This dude had 1 carry today. 1 carry. Okay. So where are you using him at? What are you doing with him? Who are you fooling?
Today he got 1 carry. Today he got 1 reception. But there was other game people thought that he was going to him too much. So what? Maybe he was decoyed. Maybe when they bought Allen Robinson in the back, they were trying to get these tight ends on mismatch.
I don't know what they were trying
with the linebackers. Hey, but guess what? It freaking worked because we moved down the field better than they did. Guess what? Teddy Bridgewater. How much they paying Teddy Bridgewater? How much they paying him? How many millions of dollars did he get, Bobby? How many 20 or 30 of millions of dollars did he get? Okay, then. So with my $9 million quarterback, I'll take it. Come on.
Sure. Listen, we're talking about what the things that popped out to us as far as looking over this team. We can talk about the positives that were pretty obvious on the field as well. One of them that I want to talk about is there is someone who's jetting up the depth chart, and if he's not already there, he should be. That would be Darnell Mooney in the receiving room. This guy, if he's not the ironclad number 2 on the list, then he is the, Anthony Miller's still the number 2, but Darnell Mooney's the number 2 kind of thing. Is one of those things. So this guy has come on. They talk about his maturity. They talk about his commitment, and you can see that he's already more sure-handed than Anthony Miller. He does not have those drops that we are seeing on Anthony Miller. We're also seeing more of a roller coaster ride with Anthony Miller as far as his production, his involvement. Guys, is Darnell Mooney going to be the future? I'm not even future, but the ironclad number 2 for this organization, not just for the rest of the year, but possibly moving forward. Aldo, haven't heard from you for a while.
Yeah, there's no doubt at all that this is a huge find for the Chicago Bears. He has blazing speed. He has 4.3 40 speed. So that's a plus right there to begin with. Secondly, he is definitely unseated Anthony Miller as the second receiver. He has seen more targets this season. He's had the ball thrown to him more times than Anthony Miller. And Anthony Miller continues to make these mental errors. And Matt Nagy spoke really fondly about Anthony Miller, but you could tell he wasn't being sincere. He has to be frustrated with the fact that Miller continues to make mistakes now that he is in his 3rd year. He has a rookie unseating him, Darnell Mooney, because he is doing things right. Yeah, Mooney has made some mistakes, but for the most part, this guy deserves the playing time. He deserves the targets, and this guy is a building block for this passing offense. It's too bad that we don't have an offense. Well,
stay positive, Aldo.
Stay positive.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Aldo. I mean, Mooney, if we're going by pure snap count alone as to who's the number 2 receiver, Mooney's beating out Miller. If we're going by target, so who's the number 2 receiver? Mooney's beating out Miller. So I think for sure that this dude is the number 2 already, and I'm pretty certain that Miller knows it. You seen, like we talked about a little bit on the halftime show there, Mooney back-to-back weeks now. He might have even done it earlier in the season also. He turns into a DB when Foles throws a bad ball. We've seen it today. He breaks up. He broke up the interception today. And then we seen it last week against Tampa. He got his hand in there and knocked the ball out and broke up another interception. So his mental game is stronger already. We seen Miller today on a short pass. I mean, he was at the marker. He was there at the sticks. All you have to do is put your head down and go forward. He tries to juke backwards a little bit, and we don't get the first down. So I believe that Mooney I think he's more solid all around. I don't know why Nick Foles, maybe it's the ball just floating on him, but and Mooney's speed that he's got to get used to. I don't know why Foles throws these high balls to him, and Mooney is stretched out, like climbing the ladder to get some of these balls, man, and that's scary. That's scary to put your wide receiver in a position like that when it's not an actual jump ball. So yeah, I think Mooney's definitely the number 2 already. And hopefully, hopefully this kid has a bright future here, and hopefully he can learn as a number 2 and not become a number 1 earlier than the rest of us Bears fans want him to.
I see what you're saying there, Bobby.
Yeah.
Cryptic messaging there. Tyler, I want to ask you, because as far as the receiving game goes, how do you shake it? Because it looks like for the foreseeable future, Nick Foles is going to have to, sling it around a little bit, or at least that's going to be the game plan. Who's standing? Do you think Mooney is the guy rising to that occasion, or who else have you seen kind of pop out?
I mean, those are the two guys. Those are the two guys. I mean, Mooney, Robinson, but now Cole, because that catch was like in traffic, so that wasn't just a wide open catch. But even Harris had 2 big drops today, but he no one makes before. But the fact that they're just learning how to get open. I mean, Mooney is somebody has to throw these people the ball every week this season. We're talking about over 6-7 receivers getting open, and so check my man out. I mean, that's double coverage. That's double coverage. You got white jerseys, blue jerseys in front of you across the board, and you were holding that in. I don't think the strength of Cole Kmet and Jimmy Graham goes into question. Me and my brother always talk about how, John, you see how big these biceps are on these kids?
They're large.
So these guys just know how to create that basketball type, box out type shape. But they create space, John. There's space and separation, and that just seems to always uptick. And so if that's what it takes for us to win, and I got to give credit to what I'm seeing. Nick Foles leading these guys. Nick Foles, who does not know for scrambling, avoiding the sack, running for the first down. That was some Flacco replacements type stuff right there. Like that was just like, I'm with you guys. I'm really with you guys. And
I call that thing over easy, not scrambled.
And I'll take it. But like, he's motioning the receivers. So I just feel like, I know we give Nagy a hard time, but it's just like we want it all to come together, but somewhat players are getting open, and the Bears are getting from the 20 to the 20 faster than they have in years before. That just can't be denied.
Yeah, and we heard a couple weeks ago from the head coach that he needed to have his snaps increased. So I think he finally realized that he's the one that can actually make that decision. So we saw the Cole Kmet getting more involved today. So yeah, and Aldo, cut me off. We got pressers on the. Do we have pressers coming up?
Nothing yet. I'm checking right now.
Okay.
Nothing yet. Yeah.
But what I said earlier this week, Cole Kmet didn't have to be thrown into the fire and be in that prominent role because Jimmy Graham is playing so well. So the fact that he was getting in sporadically or he was getting a taste of the game, that's fine. Rookie tight ends rarely just splash onto the scene to make a huge impact anyway, especially a guy who was playing baseball and football in college, and now this is the first time he's fully focused on football, and he doesn't have to be that guy they drafted to just go ahead and start. So he can learn from Jimmy Graham. He can get some playing time in there. They can kind of ease him into it. And you see today, he rose to the occasion. He took advantage of an opportunity. He caught a touchdown pass. And so I think that this is going to be a good process. I think a lot of people were really quick to be angry about Cole Kmet because he wasn't producing, but I don't know what anybody expected. Were they expecting 20 catches by this time? Were they expecting 3-4 touchdowns? No, Jimmy Graham's doing that, and that's fine. So as long as we have production out of the tight end and we have something in the hopper coming up down the line for the next 2, 3, 4, hopefully 15 years, then that's fine. I don't care. Cole Kmet can get his snaps and he can get his 2-3 catches a game, and I'm okay with that. So exactly. I have to think that all of us would be in agreement that we're pretty happy about the production from the tight end position for the most part. And we saw Harris with the drops, but for the most part, head and shoulders above better than what it was last year.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%, man. And this is one of the positions that the Bears actually got right. I think they bring in a savvy veteran. They draft a kid, to be the student. The Harris thing is the part of it I don't like. But either way, you can't go back and be, it's still 15 times, 100 times better than last year. Harris is a guy who he's been known for drops. He's been known for drops his whole career. The dude's got a lot of drops. He just gets that, I don't know, a little twitch about him or whatever, but he's been known for drops. So would I like to see Kmet, fill more of a role on his side and be out there in the passing game? Sure. But I don't know how that went, right? That could have been a run play. And they had Harris out there for the run blocking, and then they killed it and they checked to a pass, and now Harris is on the route. So who knows? I'm not sure how that all goes. I just think that this is a good developmental kid, right, with Cole Kmet. And I think the way that you guys seen, even after the touchdown, the little celebration he had with Jimmy Graham there shows you a little bit like how special that bond is, and how he's the first one he ran to, you know what I mean? Like, Dad, look at me, here we go. I thought it was really cool, man. And it shows like that chemistry and that relationship that those two have.
Yeah, very nice. We got to talk about the defense. I think the press conferences are starting a little late, perhaps because Club Dub is going overtime.
They blew the top off it, yeah.
Yeah. But the defense has played tremendously. So if Tyler wants, a really good positive talk, then we got to talk about the defense. And I got to tell you, first of all, I think Danny Trevathan is back. Danny Trevathan had a lot better. Really good game today, and he did it against the team that has been playing really good on running the ball, breaking tackles, yards after the catch. Yeah, there were some big plays by the Panthers on 2 series in the first half, and then the rest of the game, I think they held them pretty much in check. But I was really impressed by the play of Danny Trevathan, and now I'm much more encouraged that the rest of the season is going to be on an upswing for him. And then, as I said at the halftime report, the play of Kyle Fuller, he has got to be the best hitting cornerback, defensive back in the NFL right now, and one of the best tacklers in the NFL. And I think he got robbed on that one penalty. I thought that was a clean hit. But nonetheless, those two guys really shined for me on the defense. And Roquan Smith had an excellent fourth quarter. The entire game was good, but he really came to play in that fourth quarter. He really fired up. So lots of good stuff to talk about this defense.
I wanted to get your guys' opinion on Jalen Johnson's play, because I thought he made some good plays. I thought they were picking on him a lot. They were really trying to work. I think he was on DJ Moore for the majority of that game, and that was their number one guy. That's supposed to be their go-to guy in that offense coming into the season. I thought that even though they kept going at him, he didn't wilt. He didn't roll over. I thought he made some pretty good plays. Do you see this guy getting better every week as far as a big developmental guy who he could potentially be not just the number 2, but the number 1A on this team? And moving forward, whatever happens with Kyle Fuller's contract, let's hope that they can get some of that stuff figured out. But do you think that this guy is going to? He was a steal in that round, because he got graded as a first round talent, exactly. But then he got nicked up, and he the shoulder and all this other BS. But he's working through that. It hasn't been an issue yet. But he's balling out for being a rookie. Bobby, start with you. What do you see with Jalen Johnson?
Yeah, so Jalen Johnson, I mean, he was giving him some space today, right? And he went against DJ Moore, who we said this morning was he's going to be out there doing it. It was a big question game for Johnson. I think he held his own. I think the one pass interference call was BS, right? But one thing, and I know they said it right on the broadcast, but one thing you like to see about the kid is he got burnt on that one play, and the next play he didn't give any more space. He didn't back off any further. He wasn't threatened or scared. He came up, played the play, and knocked the ball down right away. So I think that's a big spot for him. And I think that he is, I won't say the second coming or any of that, but I think that he is, where he's, I would just say like a soon to be top guy in the league. I think playing behind Kyle is great for him too. Another position that I think we did right. And yeah, the injuries held him back, but I think this kid's really special, man, and he's going to be a long haul here for the Bears.
Tyler, I wanted to ask you real quick because you're always about talking about the game inside of the game and the culture inside of the locker room. How big is it for Jalen Johnson to have someone like Cole Kmet has Jimmy Graham, Johnson has Fuller? What do you think about that?
All right, so I'll get started here. Again, I'm just
sorry, guys.
Go press it real quick.
Explain the feeling that we have in this locker room, the 5-1 for our team right now. That's not easy to do. Defense and our special teams today, I thought really played well, and they put us in great situations from the very start, from the kickoff, setting the tone on special teams to the defense doing what they did. And then for our offense to get that touchdown was good. Overall, I mean, you look at situationally, our defense, they're showing all year long why they're consistently good in the red zone. They were 1 for 3 in the red zone. We had 3 takeaways, 5 sacks, and they were 23% on third down. And that's a good football team on offense that's well coached. So I was really happy with that part. They flipped the field for the offense, and just as a unit on defense was a fun one. I complimented them to the very end there in that locker room. That's, again, hats off to Matt Rule with what he's doing there with this team. I think he's a really, really good football coach that does a great job, and they have a good football team. So, but at the same point in time, no one's going to, for us in our room, we're going to be super fired up about 5-1, and winning on the road is hard. We got some things we got to clean up, and we will do that. We'll have a nice little extra day here before the Monday night game. So with that, I'll go ahead and answer questions.
Jason Leisure.
Hey, Matt, with the offense, at some point, do you make peace with yourself that this might be what it is and this is how you're going to have to nip and tuck?
Wow.
As opposed to still kind of chasing this ideal that you have for it?
Yeah, it's hard to say, Jason. It's
really
we had 23 rushes, I think, for 60-something yards, and that's hard. That's hard. So we you're right. I mean, that's at some point we have to figure out what those answers are in the why part, and that's what we'll do.
The why part.
I know in these type of games. I guess the one thing that I just
week 6,
I don't want to take away the excitement from our team right now that we're 5-1. I think sometimes
like
in this
Tyler.
world it's really easy.
I was just going to say that.
We're just looking for 50 points a game and get the run game going, and we need to. I mean, trust me, man. It's hard right now, and we're trying to figure out that why part in so many ways. But with that said, I'll never question our guys on offense, coaches and players, in regards to their effort and what they're trying to do. Never. I'll never do it. And so we got to fix it. We got to just keep working. The good thing is that we're 5-1, and when we do get this thing clicking, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're doing enough right now to get the wins, and I refuse to take away the excitement that we have as a team right now in that locker room.
Jeff Dickerson.
And I'm sure teams that open up 5-1 historically, the numbers are really good for a strong finish and for the playoffs. I know you're not trying to think that far ahead or anything, but I mean, what does this do for you? How does this set you up? Getting off to this great start, schedule gets pretty tough here coming up with Rams and Titans and everything. How does this set you up for the rest of the year, getting off to the 5-1 start?
It's huge, especially in the world we're in today in 2020, right? The unknown of what's going on here in the future. Shoot, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone, the next couple of weeks. So to be able to get out to a fast start, that's just a credit to our coaches and to our players of the fight that they have. And we told them, man, every win you can get. What are we now? 5-0 in the conference. Have the loss to an AFC. So those matter in the end when it comes down to conference records and tiebreakers. And we're not. Hopefully, what happens in a perfect world is we're winning and we're 5-1. And man, wouldn't that be awesome to get this offense rolling? And as you're going into the end of the year and into the playoffs, and then it starts clicking. So that's what we got to do. That's why I refuse to be in that situation where we're just, being hard on all the guys all the time. We just got to be positive and just keep rolling, man.
Dan Wiedemer.
Matt, what struck you about what clicked on the touchdown pass from Nick to Cole? And given what led up to that with the 2 plays, a timeout, a delay of game, what was your, energy after getting into the end zone after that sequence?
Yeah, so number one, let's start with the good. The good was a lot of trust by Nick, a special throw and a special catch with great protection, right? So if those two, that previous timeout and the false start, if that doesn't happen, we're really excited that we came out of that with a touchdown after a takeaway by our defense. Instead, I had to cool down a little bit on the sideline, to say the least, after how that went. But I did. I sat down and I relaxed. And that's just the timeout and a delay game in that situation when we're in the red zone. We're lucky we got that touchdown. I'll just say that.
What caused that? What caused the delay?
Please. Come on, be honest.
It's there's just, I guess it was a little loud. I don't know.
A little loud.
Come on, he's joking. He's trying to be smart ass.
Matt, we kind of heard a similar message from you last week. Hey, it's really great that we're 4-1, and then the next day
we deserve better as fans.
We're frustrated with some of the lack of details. Did you make any mental notes of when I go back and I watch a game, tonight on the plane back, like I'm going to look for this, and how do you balance those messages of right after the game being positive, and then when you go back and look at it, maybe be frustrated with some of the stuff?
Yeah, no, this one's different. Last week, I thought it was consistent throughout the whole game. This is that deal right there at the very beginning, and that's what magnifies it. Is like, man, we did a great job getting the football. We're rocking and rolling. We're down here in the red zone. Let's go get a touchdown. Let's make it nice and clean. And instead, it's choppy, and you got to take a timeout because we're not in the right formation, and then a delay a game because of that. And so, gosh, let's go. I love it, but let's go. And then so we got the touchdown. And again, what's unfortunate here is that what I hate talking about all this time is that our defense played lights out today. And that's where, like, I don't know. I understand we want to look at all the negatives and stuff, but really, guys, I mean, what's pretty cool is that our defense played lights out today.
All right, enough of him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I understand that he wants to keep things positive after a win and so forth, but we deserve some answers here. And at the very least, he should say, tomorrow after I look at the tape, I'll give you some more forthright answers on some of the things that were the negative. But for right now, I am going to only talk about the positives, and I'm going to start and talk about the defense, and then talk about the defense for 15 minutes and then say goodbye. But for him to avoid the questions about what went wrong and to kind of smirk about it and make a joke about it, that's disrespectful for us fans who put so much time and so much passion into this team and this organization. I don't like that. He's starting to really irritate me, and I like the guy. I don't want to like him. But
that sounded like one of those I know we got to run the ball, I'm not an idiot comments. Like, hey,
right.
Don't worry about it. We'll handle that by ourselves. You don't need to worry about what went wrong. And then nobody asked him about why he threw the ball on third down. Still waiting for someone to explain that to me. But we'll probably get another big old bowl of word soup about why we don't need to know. We don't need to know what went wrong. And don't worry about, hey, we won. You don't need to know about what went wrong.
I wasn't brought here to run the victory formation.
Yeah, it's almost like someone giving you $100 bill and you're like, hey, where'd you you get this? Don't worry about it. I'm giving you $100. I'd still like to know where it came from. You don't need to know. So it's like there's this face I'm getting from Tyler right now. Listen, I'm saying positive. I'm trying to stay positive, but I don't like patronizing tones about that kind of thing. Because, and it's not like I don't like the coach or I don't want to like the coach. I want to like this guy. I think that I think the players respond really well to him. I think he's one of his best strengths is getting these guys to buy in. They never quit. Obviously, we've seen throughout this season, they do not give up until the final whistle blows. So I think that he has a knack for really getting his guys ready to play, or at least to buy into what he's selling. I think that he might need a PR lesson about what, hey, man, listen, you can't just say, oh, don't worry about what went wrong. I don't need to tell you anything. But if you got 5 or 6 Super Bowl rings, I'll say, okay, dude knows what he's talking about.
I was just going to say the Belichick approach.
Yeah. You can be Bill Belichick whenever you can go like this and there's just nothing but diamonds going through here. That's fine. that you can do that. You can answer like this if you got rings on the fingers. Other than that, don't patronize the people asking you questions, and don't make it seem like that's information you don't need. You don't need to know what went wrong. I don't like that. Just try to be a little more transparent about it. But let's go. Let's try to do a quick 180 with some positive. Tyler, what did you get out of that?
The facts are the facts. We can just take it back to the defense. The fact that even going back when you were talking about Jalen Johnson, and you were about to make a good point that I thought about. When you were talking about that mentor relationship between Cole and Kmet, we say the same thing about Jalen and Kyle Fuller. And we got some cool guys in the chat room paying great attention, bringing good stuff. Kyle Fuller was striking today. And so when you got our number 1A and number 1B DBs, Jalen Johnson was a steal. In my opinion, a steal like Eddie Jackson in some degree, because with having that first round rate of talent. And so Kyle Fuller, in my opinion, is a top 5 DB in the NFL, period. In terms of, it's not that many people scoring on him. He's just coming out of the woodwork, and hopefully we have him locked up for at least 2 more years. I should hope so. But he's striking every single thing, even if he misses, is a hit stick. And so the defense is playing football. At the end of the day, there's questions that we want to ask about the offense, but each week there's a question being answered, and we're winning the football game against NFL caliber teams that are picked to win themselves. And so at the end of the day, the Chicago Bears fan base, you have to be encouraged, because even with the lack thereof of I don't want respectfully not crappy offensive line play on the run game. We got somebody coming on. Let me know, Aldo. But if we don't, guess what? We're winning NFL. We took the lead and didn't give it back. Like, what? Wait a minute, guys. We had the lead. We have a bad offensive line. Everybody who wants to cry about something, but we didn't give it back. But I get it. It makes sense. Coach, why'd you call that play? Get it. But at the end of the day, we're winning. We're freaking winning. And Khalil Mack, come on. Everybody, how many question marks? Don't go away when I was talking. Where you going? Come back over here. Khalil Mack is stepping up beyond board. Double teams with the holding still. Khalil, Hakeem, we are being very gap sound on the defense. Mike Davis has been a highlight reel through the NFL the first 5 weeks of the NFL. Everybody's paying attention to that. Our defense did an amazing job. And so for Jalen to get beat twice, that was a bad flag. We were going for the ball. The arm was, but I thought you could have gave that away. To come back from that and make a 3rd and short stop on a slant, that is all-star play. And so, John, you can't say enough to the fact that I believe Kyle Fuller's having on Jalen Johnson. But when you have Danny Trevathan having the best game of the season, Roquan Smith 12 sacks, Danny Trevathan 10, and Eddie still playing through with the injury, hey, yo, we can learn. We'll win while we learn. And Tampa, what's the name? The Saints, the Rams, the Vikings, yo, they should be scared of us. When we gonna get to that thought process, ladies and gentlemen? Why y'all want to play down to other people? Dang that! I'm gonna test again. Stop doing it.
Yeah, but I think the whole thing is right, and it's with this defense. But people are more afraid of high-powered offenses than they are of defenses.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying?
get over it.
And no, I'm just saying that's what it falls up to. And with people questioning our defense or even saying like, oh, we shouldn't have given up this drive, shouldn't have given up that drive, your offense should have just scored more. I mean, you held this team to 16 points. You had the opportunities, and without them, I think people are more apt to come at the defense when they should be going after this damn offense and telling them they need to score.
We scored first. So at the end of the day, we scored first. We saw improvement. We saw it early. I can't remember what game it was, but we scored early. Nick commanded us down. At the end of the day, Nick got the rushing touchdown. And so at the end of the day, as a whole, as a team, is what happens when it gets fixed. Isn't that exciting? Isn't that exciting? Like all these things we could be having, and we're not like 1-5. Looking at the NFL draft, like
you're absolutely right, because there are plenty of times throughout the seasons as Bears fans where it's week 6 and you're like, okay, 2021 mock draft or 20 whatever year it was. You're like, look, what do we got? We'll probably get like the number 8 to 13 pick. Who do we got? We got to get somebody. That's a real thing, and there's fans doing that right now. They're doing that in Philadelphia. They're doing that in Detroit. They're doing that in Minnesota. Listen. I don't want to get it twisted. We're in a much better position than half the league right now, maybe more than half the league. There are plenty of teams that would switch positions with us right now, and a lot of those teams have more talent or would have been or were picked to have better records. The Bears were picked to finish behind the Vikings in a lot of people's eyes. They were picked to finish below the Lions in some people's eyes, and they were certainly picked behind the Packers. So the fact that they're doing this well, I don't want to say this late, but at this point of the season, there's obviously a lot to be happy about. There's obviously a lot to be encouraged about.
And be 5-1. So
be 5-1. Yeah.
So hold on. The Bears are playing their best football ever. Oh yeah, they should be 5-1. The Bears are not playing their best football ever, but they're 5-1. Which one would you rather take? Like it's just like, yo, what's up? Quarantine, COVID going. Come on, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
We in the dang playoffs, and we got freaking Nick Foles. I don't care. Yeah. We get a ring, bro. Get a ring.
Well, there's some weight to that though, Tyler. There is, to say that you've had to battle back in some of these games and you've had to grind out some of these wins, and what it does for a team when your back is against the wall in another game. You can look at each other like, hey, we've been here before. We've done this. Like, this is what we do. We can come back from this and we can win this game. Whereas maybe you look at the Chiefs or a team like that that's normally blowing the doors off of somebody. Not that I wouldn't like that, but that should normally blowing the doors off somebody. They could be down 17, and who knows? Maybe they're like, well, whatever. It's one loss. And I think this team doesn't really think like that, and they are kind of battle tested and battle proven at this point.
Yeah, and one thing I know that I give Nagy a lot of crap for what he says during press conferences, but one thing I will say that I thought was an interesting point that he brought up was about how 5-1 is especially important in a year like 2020, because we've seen teams like New England lose their starting quarterback because he got put on the COVID list. We've seen injuries at a higher rate than we've ever seen in recent memory, at least that I can think of. We can see games getting moved and people's routines getting thrown off, and we get to see all this weird stuff that's going on in the 2020 NFL season. I would much rather have some of these wins against, even they were good wins against Tampa Bay, but they beat lesser teams in Detroit and Atlanta and the Giants. I would much rather bank those wins and have those wins going into the hard part of the season, because who knows what's going to happen? Who knows if these teams are actually going to be as good as they are now when they play the Bears? Are they going to have a full squad when they play the Bears? Are they going to have all of their starters? Are the Bears going to have all of their starters? We don't know. This is such a wild card season that if you can bank 5 wins, if you're 5-1 moving forward, that carries a little more weight because we don't know what's going to shake out. We don't know if the Bears are going to have to play a Tuesday night game. We don't know if the Bears are going to have to push a game off because they play the Titans in a couple of weeks, and we know that's been COVID central for a while as far as that goes. So the fact that they can be 5-1 at this point in this particular season at this point in time is a big deal because there's a lot of weirdness that can happen. A lot of these teams can fall off. Somebody could start rising. I would much rather bank these wins right now, though, and be 5-1 and say, okay, let's start taking care of business. And whatever happens. But at least you have you've built yourself. I don't want to say a cushion, but you've built yourself a nice foundation to move forward. So the fact that they can be 5-1 at this point in 2020, I think it goes a long way. And I'm probably gonna keep complaining about them. I'm gonna keep nitpicking them a little bit. But man, the fact that they're 5-1, I'm ecstatic. I wouldn't have thought that they'd be 5-1. And the fact, and I don't want to be mad because they didn't win by 20 or they didn't score a touchdown on every drive.
Right.
But let it be known, I'm still gonna piss and moan about it. But I'm still very happy with the result.
Yeah, to your point, Foot Lockness in the chat said, I definitely enjoy bitching about winning more than I do bitching about losing.
Yeah. Good point. We can laugh about it now because they won. I mean, like I said, it's the ultimate deodorant. Winning is the ultimate deodorant. We can complain and still be like, yeah, but they won, and we chuckle a little bit. And then because if they would have lost this game, we probably don't have the same.
That's different. That's different. It's a whole different conversation. I wouldn't be as positive.
Yeah.
Hey, what about that third quarter, that start of the third, and that back and forth of balls, back and forth, and I mean, Eddie forces the fumble, then Nick throws the pick, and I mean, just back and forth, man. I just felt like it was, the t-t, like you're hyped, you're like, oh, we're gonna actually get it, and then whatever, we give it back. I mean, how'd you guys feel in that third quarter? I think that was the most emotional quarter we might have had, right off the get.
It's a boxing match. This is sports. They want to get paid too. The Panthers got fans too. So at the end of the day, what sports is, who's better when the whistle blows. So you gotta this is not gonna be laid out red carpet. They're going to keep punching us in their face. Come on, dog. Under pressure, diamonds are forged. We don't want easy. Because if all roads lead to Kansas City, if all roads lead to one of these high-power teams, then we have to be calloused. And I feel like our team is being calloused because we've had these fourth-quarter comebacks where we had, once again, a 14-point lead. And even when we tried to give it away, we couldn't give it away. And so that really says something about our team, that we tried to give it away, that we said, here you go, here's another possession with no time off the clock, and you still can't win. I mean, the Panthers should be really upset because the fact that the Bears didn't take any time off the clock, didn't run the ball.
15 seconds.
And they give them another opportunity, that says a lot about our team, ladies and gentlemen, that this is a game that we would have easily lost 2 years ago. Easily.
Yeah, I agree. And the fact that I never think that the Bears and winning close games are synonymous. So the fact that they can do this kind of stuff in this year, it goes a long way because it shows that they can close games out. And we certainly didn't see that last year. They had some close games and games they should have won. They just completely fell apart. The game in London rings a bell. A game against the Chargers rings a bell. These are games that if they win last year, they win those games that they should have won. They're probably in the playoffs last year, and we would be having a different conversation going into the 2020 season. However, you have to be happy with how they're getting to where. You don't have to be happy with how they're getting to where they're going, but you have to be happy with where they've gotten so far. So we can be happy with the result and know that they're doing something at least good enough to get those wins, and they're putting it together. We will see against a team like the Rams, who I don't think are world beaters. They've shown some weaknesses throughout the year, but we will see against that kind of if the defense slips up because they have a good offense, and if the defense doesn't play lights out, can the offense win you a ball game? Can the offense go get you 35 points in one game? I would love to see that. We don't know if that can happen yet because they haven't really been called upon to do that. Even against the loss against the Colts, they only needed 20 because they held the Colts to 19 points, and they only needed 20, and they couldn't do that. But I'm afraid if this team were to ever try to get into a shootout with somebody, what the results may be. But that being said, Tyler, to your point, they're 5-1. And they're in a much better spot than a lot of these teams are. They're going to be hoping for help later on, or they're going to be having to win 7 out of 8 to clinch any kind of spot. The Bears could probably go 4-6 the rest of the year and still make the playoffs, because a 9-7 record with an extra playoff spot will probably get you in. So 4-6. If they could play as poorly as some people say that they could play. That some people say they are playing, lose 6 of 10 and still back into the playoffs. So once again, building that foundation, stockpiling those wins when you can go a long way. We talk about it. We kind of go around in circles around it. But is Nick Foles getting better? Is he just kind of, is he what he is, and he's just being Nick Foles better? I know that's kind of a roundabout way to ask that, but Aldo, I know that you are a proponent of getting him in there. So is he the guy that is getting more comfortable running the up? That I will say that interception was freaking terrible. That was an awful throw. Had no business doing what he was doing there. But is this a guy that, as Nagy says, they're going to figure it out, halfway through the season? They're going to come into their own, and then Nick Foles is going to be the guy that can really just, because I'm not turning this back into a quarterback controversy thing, because Foles is going to be the guy. Just the way that they communicate with each other, just the way that they buddy it up, yuck it up. They're like two frat brothers. That's going to be the guy for the rest of the year. What's your confidence right now?
Why do you come to me for the negative stuff? Why can't you ask me about
you just turn it into that. That was a regular question. You could talk about how great Nick Foles is, but you're going to turn it into something else. You turn it negative. It was a neutral question.
Let me put it this way. I still have confidence that Nick Foles can master this offense. I think that the relationship between him and Coach Nagy still needs to be ironed out. I'm hoping that over the next week or two, these two guys will sit down and they'll get to a place where they can agree on what is the best way to attack offenses, that Nagy gives Foles a little bit more of a leash to do things his way, because I'm seeing things are not meshing. It's almost like Harry Heastand is the quarterback, and they're Nagy and the quarterback are not meshing. So clearly Nick Foles is not a fabulous quarterback, but he is a guy that you can win with. And the fact is that we're winning with him. And so let's avoid the mistakes. And I think he'll do that. I think his accuracy is going to improve. Matt Nagy said that as he becomes more comfortable in the offense and knows these players and more practice, that his accuracy is going to get better. And we've seen some of that over the last 2 weeks. It just isn't at the point that it should be. And then hopefully we can get that running game going, which is the quarterback's best friend when you got that and pass protection. So if those two things happen, I'm confident that Nick Foles is going to improve his play, and this offense is going to get to the next level.
I think Foles is rushed in the pocket. I mean, I know he has the fourth fastest release in the NFL this season so far. But with the does he have confidence in the offensive line? This dude's taking a lot of hits. We've seen the one penalty today, and not only that, but is he concerned about his own health? Like, damn, I'm taking a lot of hits and I've only seen one season of over the, you know what I mean? So I think a lot of that messes with your accuracy, right? I think if obviously without injuries and all that in his prior years, but we can't go back on those. But I think having that pressure, we know, I mean, it's what the Bears are best at. Like, getting that pressure forces quarterbacks to throw. That forces it throws their accuracy off and kind of takes them out of their groove. Granted, I know the stats were coming up during the game of he was 8 for 10 or 10 for 12 here, and then so far he's been 3 for 7 since then. Well, yeah, but you got 2 drops by this guy. You got one good play, in there that he threw the ball away because nothing was happening. So I don't really look at that stuff because you can make those things look like however you want to. Overall, I think I would put him above average. I definitely, and some people might not want to hear it, but I put him better controlling this offense than Mitch was. He might not be better at rushing it, but I think he is a better leader for this team, and I think he controls this offense a lot better than Trubisky was doing.
Nick Foles is doing better than most quarterbacks. Some of the quarterbacks in the NFL. It's bigger than Mr. Trubisky. A lot of teams would like to have Nick Foles in this position because, like, especially with bad offensive line play, young receivers, new receivers. Hello, like how many teams like are not on the same page? I mean, it took Phillip Rivers a while to get started. All these different examples throughout the league of different people coming in. Nick Foles just has shown me that he's still in this thing. He just loves playing the game. He's playmaking guys open. Guys are just not running the lines on the play. Guys is finding spaces and getting down, and Nick Foles is finding them. I think the accuracy will continue. I mean, he's finding guys he's getting guys towards the first down. Like I feel like he's done a better job than I've seen most of the Bears quarterbacks in the past of when it's 3rd and 4. If it's 3rd and 7, don't throw it 3 yards unless that's the only play. And so getting the freaking first down, and when we keep having these back-to-back games of 20 first downs plus, that just provides opportunity. It gives defensive rest. All these different things matter. And so Nick Foles, in my opinion, is getting better. But we saw that first drive. It didn't take all game to see a touchdown pass. We saw him in a tougher position. 3rd and goal, what are you going to do? And after 2 mistakes, after miscommunication or whatever.
Once again, 18 win, not easy.
Sorry.
I'm really proud of
my quarterback. Let's listen to him.
It was different where we're not at the end trying to, come back and make plays and win at the last second and stuff like that. So it was nice to have that lead. It's just now we got to build and put more points on board. So, hey, we can hit that 4-minute a little earlier and finish the game.
Oops. Sorry.
These guys, the more you grind out these wins and we get to know each other, I'm excited. But I think I'm just excited because I felt like we got a little bit better tonight. I feel like we're figuring out who we want to be, and that excites me. I think the conversations after the game in the locker room juiced me up and got me excited because we're not just sitting there happy with winning. And that excites me about this with these guys. I'm exhausted. I can't wait to take a nap on the plane. But I am hitting a little bit of adrenaline right now. But once I hit that bus in that plane, I'll be out. But I think it's the conversations in the locker room with my teammates. We were able to get a Meek Mill song on in the locker room. I reminded me of, Philly a little bit, So I'm not gonna lie, that got my juices going. So shout out to Meek. Yeah. Was it Dreams and Nightmares? So it brought back a memory for me that was exciting. And then I might have got up and danced a little bit. I'm more like country, maybe some Christian. If Meek comes on with that song, I get rolling.
Cool.
Thanks for your time, Nick.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
And sorry, I caught the last end of it, but that was good.
He's a pretty cool guy.
I like him a lot.
Yeah, and like I have said on numerous occasions, if you listen to him, sometimes you don't know if they won by 30, lost by 30, or if they just went to a buffet and they just hung around and played cards. It's hard to tell what actually happened the last 3 hours after talking. He's very even keel. He's very collected, and he's a consummate professional. And you heard about the relationships he's building with his teammates. I like hearing they're not happy with just winning. That goes a long way in my books. It says the attitude in the locker room is right. And as much as I'm going to tear Nagy apart, I will say that he is really good at getting his guys on the same page. He's really good at getting the team to come together. This team believes in itself. And so, we can nitpick the play calling a lot, and we can talk about decisions and whatever. But I think as far as a leader of men, he's pretty good at getting these guys to all row in the same direction. And Nick Foles is also a very good first mate in that when that comes to that kind of stuff. So I like what I hear from Nick Foles as far as he's taking control. He is taking this as his team now. I'm going to lead this team. I like the guys. And I know I'm tired of hearing, hey, you're getting to know each other. We're trying to figure out our identity. I'm tired of hearing that. But if it's real this time and they can have an identity in 2-3 weeks, that's completely fine with me. So I'm pretty impressed with Nick Foles so far.
And
we can't have it back. If we like Nick Foles, then we trust our quarterback. So when we start talking about question marks on the offense, do you trust your quarterback or do you not? And so that's the case. So if it's black play calling or whatever it is, like Nick Foles, I believe he's changing the play. Like even on, I even if some of the good play, I think Nick changed the play on that one. I think Nick changed the play, and that's okay. I'm trusting this guy because he's so mild mannered, John. Like you just said, he's so mild mannered and like, yo, I've been here before. They gonna hate me. They gonna love me. It's okay. I ain't worried about that. But I'm gonna fight for my teammates. And so whatever Nagy calls, I'm confident with saying, Nick Foles, bro, he has an opportunity to do something that a lot of people would dream of. It's a Disney movie this guy is living right now. To do this again and after coming off beating Brady last week. Like there's so many narratives that could just, as the Bears keep winning, go along with him. I trust the dude. I trust the dude with the team. He's growing with the team. And if Mooney's rising, that means quarterback play is improving.
Yeah.
Hey, before we sign off, I know that Tyler's got to leave a little early. So, Tyler, you got any final thoughts before you leave us?
Real quick, just if anything else, stay tuned to Barfly Tailgate Show tomorrow. I mean, that's going. If anything else, my man Bobby Bonds, AC, my man Bag, KB, Fireman, they're gonna be killing it. So tune in for that. My man John, listen to the post game, but they're gonna tell you all the great shows. They're gonna tell you all the John and Alyssa passed the mic. But other than that, Bears victory, bear down. No injuries. We're unified. Y'all know how I roll. Positive mindset, unity and fellowship. We win together. Bear down, Bears Nation. Love you all. We fix anything with a W. Be great. Get your games in. Protein on deck.
All right, brother. We'll see you next week.
Take care.
Now, I want to see if he is that positive when he gets to be my age. And he sits year after year, the Bears breaking his heart.
I have a feeling he will be. However, I'm getting a cherry on the Sunday right now because I'm watching this Green Bay Tampa game, and Rodgers just threw one pick six and then followed up with another interception. So I'm watching Tampa. If Tampa can win that game, and I know going into this week, the Bears had a 72% chance of going to the playoffs and a 22% chance of winning the division. If the Packers slip up, and that's more than possible, we're not talking about playoffs as much as we're talking about maybe winning the division. And I'm not. And I mean, I think only the number 1 seed gets a bye this year, but so that's aiming pretty high. But if you win the division, you get a home playoff game, and that goes a long way. Maybe who knows what the world will be like by then? I know that both of the Pennsylvania teams were allowing fans back in the stands this week. I think they were allowed up to 5,500 in the stands, and maybe by January that might be different, or it might be a lockdown again. So it's hard to tell. But the fact of the matter is, if the Bears win, then everybody else has to take care of their business. So the Packers got to take care of their business. The Bears already beat the Buccaneers. Can the Packers do it? So it's good to be able to say Bears took care of their business. Let's see if we can watch everybody else squirm for a little while.
I hear you.
Yeah, for sure, man. And there's a couple things that we didn't get on that Foles presser real quick, and it's things that we never would have heard before, right? But he says on that interception, he says, "Yeah, that was a dumb throw. Shouldn't have thrown it." And then somebody asked him about an ugly win, and he said something along the lines of, "Would you rather lose pretty?"
Yeah.
And then win ugly, because I'd rather win. And that was really, and just that mentality, man, and where he's bringing this team and how the team is. I mean, we're stacking W's together. We're building up. We just, took down a team that was on a 3-game winning streak. And I think all that is a huge buildup going into these next coming weeks, man. And if we would have came and lost against Tampa Bay and then dropped this one against Carolina to then go against these next 5 teams, man, it could have, at least we're on a high at this point, right? And the team's on a high, everybody's ready to go, because this season could be completely different. And no matter how much we question Nagy or question the play calling or whatever, right? Nobody questions it when it works. The only time it ever gets questioned is when it doesn't work. So even on that third down, if he would have thrown a slant to A-Rob across the middle and A-Rob would have broken open for a touchdown, nobody would have said shit about it. It would have been like, oh, that was a great call because they had 10 in the box trying to get us and whatever, right? So whatever. At least we're stacking W's at this point, and now this is really I think one of the biggest parts of the season with those final 2-5 games against two conference teams and the Vikings and the Packers.
Yeah, everything that you guys are saying makes tons of sense, and I just can't hide my frustration with this offense and how it's been mediocre. We bring in a head coach who is supposedly an offensive genius, creative, and so forth. And his rookie season, he's the NFC Coach of the Year. And then after that, everything seems to have fallen apart in terms of his growth in leading this offense. So that's, to me, is highly frustrating. And when I see the defense playing so well, series after series after series, and then they have to keep going out there to bail him out because he's calling a passing play on a 3rd and 2 late in the game, and over these mistakes is just infuriating to me. I've seen this record before. I'm 62 years old, so I've seen this before. I've seen it over and over and over again, and you just don't win this way. And so, but I am hopeful that this team can particularly on the offense, specifically on the offense, can improve, can get to a point where they're a little bit better than average, and a little bit better than average offense with this defense is a Super Bowl contending team. And I mean, really, really a strong Super Bowl caliber team. And so that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that next week against the Rams, that it's going to be, 3-4 touchdowns and solid play calling and relying on the offensive line to open up holes and sticking with the run game and not giving up on it immediately after a minus negative play. That's just infuriating to see that. And so hopefully it'll happen. I'm a Bears fan, and so I'm going to pray every night for it. But at the same time, I'm going to bitch and moan at the same time. So that's my prerogative.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because I think what's frustrating is if this offense was even above average, you start thinking about what the ceiling is for this team. I mean, listen to some of the scores today. I mean, the Texans and the Titans, it was a 42-36 game, 31-27 Colts Bengals. These are bad teams scoring a lot of points. Falcons Vikings 40-23. If the Bears could just raise their average point output, how many at the end, I don't know, because I don't know when people are listening to this, but at the end of this week, go back and look to see how many teams are going to score less than 16 points today. I bet it's not very many. If you can get an offense that can at least take that next step where they're maybe averaging 25 points per game, which would be great if they could get up to that. So it's more frustrating, not because it's just like, oh, this team sucks, because they don't. They're a good team. What's frustrating is knowing if the offense would just take that one step forward, we're talking about a Super Bowl contender and not just like, whoa, I wonder what our odds are this week to get into the playoffs. We're talking about a legitimate contender. That's a defense that can win a Super Bowl. So the offense needs to just take that next step. And if I keep hearing we're finding our identity, yeah, maybe we're gonna stumble into it one day where we actually find it. Maybe it was hiding a long time ago and we finally found it, and we're gonna figure out what that identity is. And if the identity is Nick Foles has to throw it 40, 45 times a game, I'm not overly comfortable with it. But if they can make it work, whatever. But it's not working. I mean, it is working, but you'd like to see a little bit more out of it. So kind of like what you were saying, Aldo, it's just, you want to see we're going to complain about it. We're going to love the fact that they won. We're going to be excited that they won. I'm in a good mood because they won. To me, it's just man, if they would just put it together a little bit more on offense. We're talking about maybe this team can do it. And maybe this team can really make a long run in the playoffs. That'd be great if the offense was like, Ooh, you got to fear the offense a little bit too. Everyone fears the defense. Got to fear the offense a little bit too, because they'll hang 30 on you. They'll hang 40 on you any given week. I don't know if teams really think like that right now. Like, oh, the Bears can hang 40 points on you. No, the Bears can barely hang 40 points on you in 2 weeks. So but the fact of the matter is, right now, they really only have to score 21 points and they'll win. The 21 points will get you a win with the Chicago Bears defense right now. Get to that point. Get to that threshold. So I think that's the only thing that's kind of frustrating for me, because I'm thinking, man, if they just took one tiny step forward on that side of the ball, we're talking about a completely different expectation, I guess.
I know we're about to wrap it up here in a minute, but before we go, do you guys think that is there any chance that we get on the trade block, that we make a move for some offensive linemen, or maybe bring in a caliber offensive lineman, a high caliber one, or, that's in his last year, because somehow Nagy sells to Pace that's what I need at this point after watching this. That's what I need to make this run game work. Is there a chance that we maybe deal a pick here somewhere before the trade deadline and pull in a good offensive lineman that's in the last year of his contract?
I would endorse that, definitely. I mean, this team spent a lot of resources so that it can win now. You didn't go out and get Robert Quinn and Jimmy Graham, two veterans who are really on the downside of their careers. And they're, especially Graham, he's playing well, but you didn't go after these guys because you're rebuilding or you want to, build a team for 5-10 years of contention. This is the window to win, which is part of my frustration too. So yes, I would definitely, and I hate trading draft picks, but because we're in a position where we're 5-1 and we've got an opportunity here to maybe get that first round bye, if there is a quality player that can help this offense, or maybe, I think the run defense is actually going to get better today. With the play of Tony Trevathan and the play of Bilal Nichols, I think
Mario Edwards,
I think that they're improving in a way that gives me a lot of hope that we may not need to go out and get an interior lineman to help with the run defense. But if we can get an offensive player, particularly on the offensive line, that could help, I'm totally for that. Totally.
And normally I'm not a big proponent of bringing guys in mid-season because it takes a little bit of time to get acclimated. If you trade anywhere near the trade deadline, you're bringing them in week 7, week 8. Maybe they're good to go week 9. But I'm with you, Aldo, because I think you also have to assess where you are as a franchise. And you don't re-sign Trevathan or sign Jimmy Graham or bring in Ted Ginn if you think that, we're going to punt on these couple years and we're going to get better and we're rebuilding. I think they think their window's right now. And if they truly believe that, just like the rest of us truly believe like their window is right now, then maybe you do go out. And I'm not saying go give up a first rounder or anything like that, nothing crazy, but you need help. I mean, we talked about what's on the scrap heap right now, and we're talking about Eric Kush and Ted Larson, for God's sake. So so if there's someone that can legitimately help you and can legitimately give Nick Foles more time back there, or can help in the run game, or a guard that can pull or anything like that, maybe you go get yourself a rental player for 1 year and you give up a 4th rounder, or even better, a 5th rounder or something like that. But I think if you really believe it's your time to win, they brought in a bunch of guys that they thought were missing pieces. They signed guys. They bring in Jermaine Ifedi to fill that void. They bring in they let Kwiatkowski go to Vegas so that they could re-sign Trevathan because they feel like they can win right now. And even though Kwiatkowski's playing very well, but they made a decision that they want that leadership that Danny Trevathan brings, and I think that he still is very valuable in that aspect. So if you think and like I said earlier this week, Khalil Mack's going to be on the other side of 30. He's on the wrong side of 30. Akeem Hicks on the wrong side of 30. So these guys, the defense just doesn't stay the same. Next year, they're going to be a year older. The year after that, they're going to be 2 years older. This isn't just going to be the same thing. It's just like, well, the defense is always going to be good, so we just got to keep working on the offense. Just keep working on the offense. Eventually, guys get old, guys walk away, guys leave in free agency. So if you think the defense is good enough to win a championship this year, go bring in something on offense that can at least carry the weight a little bit. And maybe you do. Maybe you find something that can make you, or at least push you past that threshold that we think this team can accomplish.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you guys, man. I think Barkevius Mingo, he got a sack today. I think he's been playing great. Edwards stepped up today. He's been playing. You got Mac, who's on the wrong side of 30. You got Akeem. You got all these guys, right? You got Fuller, who's going to be coming up on another contract soon. You got all these guys that defense is running a lot shorter on time, right? I think the move now is you're going to have teams at the end of this week who know that their playoff contention is done, unless you're in the NFC East. But I mean, we might even still be able to slide in there and steal somebody. But throwing up a package of a few picks together, I don't know. I'm down for anything. I don't want to give up a first round, but throwing a package picks together or a swap of picks here and there, I'm good with all that. And I think that the problem, though, at this point is with the whole COVID protocol and everything. I'm pretty certain the guy would be 2 weeks down anyway prior to coming into the facility. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but I know when we were all looking for snacks, that's kind of what they went back and forth on, of how long he had to stay away from the facility or in his little quarantine before he was able to join team activities. So if you're going to do it, I'd rather have it done before or now than at the deadline. Right. But I think it's a move that we might see here shortly, man. And I think for all of us Bears fans, we're hoping for it.
And Ty in the chat room makes a good point about the loss of Tariq Cohen, and he's like me. I'm not a huge Tariq Cohen fan. I think you can find players who can do what he does, but what he does is he spreads out the offense, and he can really be effective on certain plays. Now, we do have Lamar Miller, who is rehabilitating from the torn ACL that he suffered early in the season last season. So he could be close to joining this team. And if Lamar Miller does join the team, he could be a nice change of pace back. Let's remember that he ran a 4.4 in the 40 a few years ago when he came out, more than a few years ago, but he's a speedster. That's his game. Yeah. And he played very well before the injury. So if we can get Lamar, right, and he can catch out of the backfield. So that would be a huge, huge game. But I'm with you. I think it's a great question, Bobby. If you want to trade some trade assets to draft assets to get some help with the offense, because this is the year you got to go for it. You got to win one for Virginia is what I like to say.
That's right.
So let's go out and do it.
Well, how many more times are they going to be 5-1 and sitting in this position? We can talk about their downfalls. We can talk about the things that are wrong with this team. But even good teams don't always go 5-1. There are a lot of good 3-2 teams. So how many times are you really going to be in this position of power where you're 5-1 and you really can make a run at something? It doesn't matter if this team can be bad. You can say they're a bad 5-1, but that doesn't matter, because if you're 5-1 and then you can catch fire or you can bring somebody in to make you better, you're in a position of power. And that not these even good franchises don't always start 5-1. They don't even start with a winning record sometimes. So when we're 6 weeks into the season, so the fact that you're 5-1, take advantage of that at least. Know that, like, if we're gonna make a run, if you're gonna take a shot at it, if you think this is your window of winning, don't make it 2021. You might not be 5-1 in 2021. You're 5-1 in 2020. Go for it now. So maybe you see that mindset and you say, okay, let's go. Let's see what we got. Let's take a real stab at this, because not every team gets to a position where they're like, okay, let's take a stab at it. You don't do that when you're 1-4. You don't do it when you're 2-3. You don't do it when you're 0-5. You do it when you're 5-1. And that's where they're at.
And let's be honest, it's not like this offense isn't working. It's just not working to the potential that we want it to, or to the average of the rest of the NFL right now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the rest of the NFL is putting up 50 burgers almost every game. Yeah. And you see some of these crazy scores. I mean, shit, Adam Shaheen's got like 50 yards receiving right now and 2 catches with a touchdown. Nobody would have called that coming. But either way, I mean, there's a lot of points being put up this season, and I think if there's a time to make the move, it's now. And what that price for that move is, I don't know. There's a couple things I don't like, but there's also some things where you have to sit there and think like, I think I'm willing to do that.
Yeah.
Bucs are now up 21-10 over them Green Bay.
Yeah, I had one eye on that.
Yeah, man. I'm doing the same thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
And the fact that they're playing in Green Bay is pretty slick, right? This is.
I thought they were playing in Tampa.
Are
Yeah,
they?
They're in Tampa. They're in Tampa.
They're in Tampa.
Oh, okay. They got the different uniforms. My bad. You're absolutely right. All right. Should we call it a show? Go around and final comments?
Sure.
All right. How about if we have our guests start us off?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not giving up on the offense, right? I think that there's a lot to prove. I think that there's a lot of options that we can make. I do think Nagy's play calling's questionable, but hey, this dude's putting up wins. He's lost one game this season. And I just think that's, it says a lot. I think Foles, if you watch the presser, if you go back and watch the presser today, I think everybody's going to get a different feeling about Foles and the energy that he brings to this team and the leadership that this guy possesses. And we're winning. We are winning football games. And that's what you need to do to be successful. And I think that carries Matt Nagy right through all of this too. So I'm still confident in this team. I think we legitimately have the best defense in the league. I know that there's higher ranked defenses. I know that there's higher graded defenses, but I'm saying against the caliber of quarterbacks that we have faced so far and what they have done already, like Bridgewater was a 5th passing quarterback in the league. We've seen Brady, we've seen Rivers, we've seen, you know what I mean? I think that this team there's a lot to be confident in. And although we're kind of, throwing our complaints out here and there for a 5-1 team, don't confuse that for the belief, everybody wants the perfection. We're never going to get it. There's always going to be something to complain about, but here we are saying all these things that we need, and we're 5-1. So with that, I would just say, that's my take on that. We got a big 5 games coming ahead of us, and I think that this is going to be a true test of where we're at against some of these teams, caliber wise, and how spicy this defense and this offense get with other teams and, start getting fired up. Other than that, appreciate everybody joining in the chat. Thanks for coming out, man, having the conversation back and forth. And join us tomorrow at 1:25 Central, where the man himself, Allen Robinson, will be joining the Barfly Tailgate Show. We're going to kick it with him about 45 minutes, I think. Got a lot of questions for him going. If you got any questions you want us to ask, hit us up at Barfly Tailgate on Twitter or at Bears Barroom, and I'll ask Aldo to get them over to us. But hit us up on there, and we'll fire questions at him and see what we got. And should be a great show. It's going to a great partnership and relationship. He's going to join us a few times this year on the Barroom Network. So can't wait to get him on and just start firing away, man. Boys, it's been a pleasure. John, thank you. And Aldo, appreciate you the invite, and thanks for having me, man.
You got it. You got it, brother. You hit it out of the park again. You stepped up in the pocket and threw it 45 yards for the touchdown.
Oh, yeah, I almost got the punt blocked like that last one we see. Jesus, that was scary. Yeah. Oh, on that, wait, one more thing. I will, and this will be like a little like this, right? But so I don't know if you guys know, I used to coach Pharaoh Cooper when he was a kid in football. So for him to get drafted by the Rams and then go over to Arizona and now be home again in Carolina, see the kid here every now and then, and to watch him today, and I enjoy watching his games, man. And it was just great seeing him out there today. Glad he got, he had the returns, he got some yardage out of it, whatever. But just to know that kid since he was like 10 years old and see what he's doing right now, man, it's a pleasure watching that, and to maybe have a little influence and bringing him up through the football system, man. It's great to see that on the field,
There you go.
So that's it. That's my one little, shine my own clean. What is it? Manscaped. No, I'm kidding, John. Go ahead.
John, you want to go and then I'll close it up?
Yeah. I don't know how to follow that up, but no, I agree with everything Bobby said, and Bobby, thanks again for being on. But it's just this team is 5-1, and as much as I piss and moan about this team, and I talk about the bad parts about it, and I give Nagy a lot of crap, and I talk about the quarterback situation and how they can't move the ball, I couldn't be more ecstatic that this team is 5-1. Are they the traditional 5-1? No. Are they winning winning games that 2020 teams win games in the NFL? No, but they are 5-1. And if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that this team was going to be 5-1 with some big wins over Tom Brady and Phillip Rivers and playoff quality teams, they beat, and everyone says they didn't play anybody. Well, they played the Bucs, they played the Colts, and they played a pretty good Carolina Panthers team that was underrated. So they've beaten good teams. And whenever you're supposed to beat the bad teams, and then you stay competitive against the good teams, well, they're beating both of them. So even though they lost to the Colts. But regardless, they're playing, the defense is playing tough against this, and they're holding it down for the offense to hopefully make some hay coming up here. Hopefully they find their identity. Hopefully they get the run game figured out. And I know people hate when people go like this, but I'm going to keep going like this. So, but I am happy that this team is where it's at, because you want to make the argument they could easily be 2-3, they could easily be 1-4, or they could easily be 1-5, whatever. But they're not. There's plenty of teams that are 1-4, 1-4-1. There's teams that are 2-3 that should be 3-2. You don't get style points. This is not the BCS. You don't get strength of wins. You don't get strength of schedules. I mean, they're going in, they're 5-1, and that's all that matters right now. So I'm very pleased with this team. I can't say it's been easy to watch. I can't say that my heart hasn't jumped out of my chest a few times. I can't say that it's the most enjoyable thing, but what is the most enjoyable thing is when the clock reaches the 000, the Bears have more points than their opponents. So I will say, moving forward, this is going to be a big test, because they got some real good teams coming up. We're going to see what this team is made of. We're going to see if that defense can hold up, and if they don't, can the offense pick up the slack? And I hope they can. I hope they figure it out. I hope Nick Foles continues to get more comfortable with this offense, and maybe keeps having a little more influence over Matt Nagy, and they kind of figure things out there. So I'm just really happy. I'm not going to use the word thrilled, but because we're only 6 games in, but they set themselves up really nicely, and I have to say that I'm incredibly happy about that. As far as what's going on the Barroom Network, be sure to get my breakdown with Alyssa Barbieri on Wednesday, Buffon 55. We'll break down the Bears' next opponent, their Monday night game against the Rams. That should be an interesting one. So you're going to have more reactions. You're going to have my reactions after I get to look over a little bit of the film, look over some of look over some of the pressers and some of the quotes and some of the stats and stuff. So that's always a good time, because I have to talk really fast in a small amount of time, and I've gotten pretty good doing that in the last 4 years. So, also this week we have another edition of Pass the Mic, our new show on the Barroom Network, all about empowering female voices in sports media. We've had some incredible guests so far. This week we have another incredible guest. Her name is Lindsay O'Kay. She is a former ballerina turned NFL blogger, and she has done this. She has worked in the sports media business, and then she went off and she started doing her own thing, and she's killing it. She is an incredibly insightful author. She interacts with a lot of different people on social media, and I will say she doesn't take any crap from anybody. She is going. I am so interested to see how her journey played out, and what she has, how she started to where she got to. And obviously, we talk about the struggles that females deal with in sports media that clearly their male counterparts don't have to deal with. So that's what this show is all about, bringing to light those struggles, because I think sometimes it's just, it's overlooked, or it's not, that people don't want to talk about that, and they don't want to hear that kind of stuff with their sports talk. So this is a show that we can talk about that. We will talk about that, and we will bring all those issues to light. So that we're going to be recording that on Thursday, should be ready Thursday night. And then all these shows are evergreen. Our first show with Peggy Kaczynski, that's a great episode. Go back and listen to it. None of these, you don't have to be, that week to listen to it. These are all great stories, and they're timeless. So go ahead. In our second episode with Canadian broadcaster Amanda Ruller, another great story from all the stuff that she has accomplished. Go back and listen to that. And if you just listen to it for the first time this week with our interview with Lindsay, go back and listen to the first two, because they're all different. They're all different. They're not cookie cutter stories. They're not cookie cutter interviews. Everyone's journey is completely different, and it's every time I'm done doing one of those shows, it's just wow, I can't believe that was their journey. I can't believe that's what they had to deal with. I can't believe they were able to accomplish all of that stuff. So please go back and listen to all those. That's Pass the Mic every other Thursday on the Barroom Network, and our regular Chicago Bears show, Buffon 55, every Wednesday right here on the Barroom Network. Aldo.
Yeah, when John pitched me on bringing Lindsay on, he told me her Twitter account. So I'm scrolling down, and almost immediately there's a photograph of her holding her middle finger up. And I'm like, I like her already.
Yeah.
I like her already. So that's going to be a great interview. I just also, there's nothing left for me to say about the Chicago Bears game. You know, I like what both of you guys said, and in particular, John talking about the theme of hope, because I too have a lot of hope. I bitch and moan a lot about what's going on with the team, but I also have a lot of hope that they can get better and that they will get better. So I'll be on my knees tonight asking the good Lord for some progress in certain areas. And as for what's going on in the Barroom Network, tomorrow we've got the Greg Gabriel, the former college scouting director for the Chicago Bears. He will be here along with David Schuster. They will break down the game in a way that only they can. Greg, with his 10 years of working with the Chicago Bears organization and another 10 or 15 working with the New York Giants. He's got all this NFL blood in him, so his take on stuff is always good. And I just saw a tweet that he sent out. He's so happy that the Vikings now are 1-5 and giving it to people who were saying that the Vikings were going to have a better team than the Chicago Bears. He loved the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
And so that'll be great to listen to that. Gabriel and Schuster talk Bears. And then after that, Les Grobstein and David Schuster do their show, the Grobstein-Schuster Zone, and that is in itself a weird show. You ask Les Grobstein about what happened with the Bears game on Sunday, and he'll break it down for you, and then all of a sudden he'll weave in some story about that 1977 Bears, and he'll remember down and temperatures and everything. He's got
who stood at their locker with a baseball bat.
Yeah, he's got a fabulous mind, and you can always catch Les also on 670 to Score. He does the overnight shift. So for those of you who are insomniacs and want to listen to Chicago sports talk, he does that over at 670 to Score. So we've got that starts off the week, and of course this show will be on your podcast stream, and a lot of people like to go back and listen to the Barfly Tailgate show. They listen to the pregame show as part of their postgame experience, so that's always good. Thank you for doing that, and just thank you for being committed followers of the Bears Barroom. Really appreciate that, and we're now known as the Barroom Network, and here's our new logo as we say goodbye.
Thank you.